Hello Team Sunday School and welcome to the next instalment of our alphabet attributes. We're going to start with a question. So then, on the 8th of May this year there was a big celebration. Can you remember what it was? I'll give you some clues. It was a day to remember something important, something special that happened 75 years ago. I wonder if you waved any flags like this one, or ate any yummy scones like this one, or maybe you had a street party like Penny, or made something extraordinary like Jan. Can you remember what it was? No, it was not Neil's birthday. Not even Neil is that old. It was the 75th anniversary of VE Day. Now, VE Day was the day a terrible war ended. A war that affected people all over the world and in which many, many people died. So VE Day was the day peace came back. Can you sign that with me? Peace. That is our alphabet word today. Now, you might be finding lockdown pretty tricky, but do you know what? War is so much worse. At the moment, your daddy might be working from home, but in the war, daddies and many men had to go away and fight as soldiers. And at the moment, you may have to stay home at lots, but during the war, even staying at home wasn't safe, because bombs could destroy houses as well as people. The war was so sad and so difficult that when it ended, there were huge celebrations all over the country and all over the world. Now, did you know that the Bible tells us about another war? A war that God is in. Well, if God is in the war, he must be on the good side, right? Because we already know that he is beautiful and faithful and gracious and holy. So, who are God's enemies? Who are the baddies? Well, Younger Sunday School are going to help me explain. They are going to show you some actions to a song, an awesome cutlery song that we sing lots in Sunday School. I wonder if you can guess what it is. Right, what did we have? We had God, we had love, we had Jesus dying on the cross, and we had enemies. Did you guess what the song was? That's right, God showed us his love by awesome cutlery. And in that song it says, while we were his enemies. So in that war, we are God's enemies. Well, I suppose we knew that already, didn't we? Because we know that we have broken God's divine standard. And we know that even though in the beginning when God created a world of peace where everything was good, it got spoiled by sin. And it's not good anymore. We can't be friends with God and we can't have peace with God. But that's terribly sad news, isn't it? But wait a minute, when we sing God showed us his love in Sunday School, it's not a sad song, is it? Why not? Because it tells us God's very good news. Let's have a listen to the song and see what we can find out.
God showed us his love when Jesus died for us. While we were his enemies, God showed us his love.
So, did you hear? The song tells us that while we were God's enemies, God showed us his love. Let's have a look at a verse in the Bible to explain that a bit more. Romans chapter 5 verse 10 tells us that while we were God's enemies, we were reconciled to him through the death of his Son. That means Jesus came to make us friends with God again, to reconcile us to God. He did this by dying on the cross, and he did it while we were his enemies. So God showed us his love by sending Jesus. The Bible tells us that God is a God of peace, that he loves us and he doesn't want the war between us to go on any longer, that he sent Jesus, his best fighter, the Prince of Peace, to defeat sin and Satan and death. And all we have to do is to surrender to Jesus, to put our hands up and say, I'm guilty, but I don't want to be your enemy anymore. I want to be on your side and have Jesus, the Prince of Peace, as my captain. And do you know what? When the war between us and God stops, it's like V-Day in heaven. God is so happy. He loves making peace. And he's got a great celebration planned for the end of time, when the war is finally over, when sin and Satan and death are completely destroyed. But until then, he promises a peace within us that can keep us calm whatever is happening in our world. And do you know what? That peace can protect our minds and hearts, can keep them safe from fear and worry and guilt. Let's thank God for Jesus, our Prince of Peace.